CORBIN BERNSEN, and welcome to Wild Survival. For most skydivers, safety is one of the utmost concerns, and it shows. The fatality rate is only 1 in every 75,000 jumps, a statistic that betters many other recreational sports. But sometimes, the deadly downside will single out one unfortunate victim. Like many extreme sports, skydiving has taken off dramatically in the last decade. In an average year, some 3.5 million jumps have taken place throughout the world. That's 9,000 jumps every single day. Most are safe and routine. Jeff Sands owns and operates a successful skydiving business in Longmont, Colorado.
Well, I started skydiving about 15 years ago and really got in it heavily. I did about 350 jumps my first year. It became an obsessive love. You can't get enough skydives in.
Jeff's enthusiasm rubs off on the hundreds of skydivers who run through his operation each year. Many are regulars like Alan Hunt, Mike PRIDGEN, and TJ McGinley.
Skydivers in generally, as a whole, we kind of look at each other as a family. Some people think we're misfits or whatever, but there are lots of professionals that skydive, doctors, lawyers, people that work at 7-Eleven.
Tight bonds and camaraderie also translate to watching each other's backs, even before they leave the ground.
Everybody checks each other, gives a buddy check, just like in scuba diving. They pack their main parachute, they check their reserve, their ripcord handle, that all the flaps are tucked in and everything's properly packed.
On this day, everything seems by the book. As the group loads into the plane, a simple, fun, and routine jump is everyone's expectation.
Are you comfortable?
If you'd move forward, I would be.
Okay.
You give me the count.
Ready, set, go! All right.
But the beautiful day is about to turn ugly. Something is about to go horribly wrong. As the men position themselves for the jump, the skydiver's worst fear is about to unfold.
There were 3 of us positioned outside of the aircraft, and TJ was standing in the door facing out. So when we exited, he immediately came over onto his back, and his reserve parachute deployed around him.
Just seconds after his jump, TJ's reserve parachute accidentally deploys. The unexpected explosion of nylon chute and cords traps some of the others who are already in free fall. Dropping at 120 miles per hour, it's impossible to steer clear of the chaos. Lives are in danger.
I had lines completely engulfed around my midsection. They were around me, they were around Alan, who was the center guy. This was not a good situation. It was bad. It was going to get much worse really fast.
Wild Survival will continue. Everything seems perfect as a group of skydivers readies to jump into the clear skies of Colorado. Although they have carefully checked their gear, speculation is that a safety pin on one of the men's reserve parachutes has somehow come loose, setting the stage for a deadly struggle for survival. Within seconds after TJ McGinley leaves the plane, his reserve chute accidentally deploys, tangling him and others in a chaotic web of nylon and cords. At 12,000 feet, confusion reigns.
At the moment, I didn't realize they'd come out of TJ's container. All I knew is I was wrapped up in a bunch of lines, and it's not a good place to be.
Alan Hunt is the first to break free from TJ, who is in serious trouble.
What I did was push away to separate myself. There's nothing that I can do to help him, which is, you know, he's in a bad situation that can only be made worse by more people around him.
Alan is also able to help Mike PRIDGEN escape the snapping cords of TJ's reserve chute.
Alan let go, gave me a push to help back himself and he let go of me. I started tracking away, basically trying to go into a high-speed horizontal maneuver to get out of the lines.
As Alan and Mike drop safely away in freefall, they can only look up and wonder what's happening to their friend. TJ's situation is grim. In the confusion of clashing bodies, TJ is knocked unconscious. His leg is broken in several places and bleeding profusely. He's out of control, losing blood, and spinning towards certain death. One by one, the others land safely. They can only look up at the dot in the sky with helpless confusion.
Looks like he's still turning.
Still unconscious, TJ has already dropped some 5,000 feet. His life is in his own hands, and he doesn't even know it. Also back on the ground, Jeff Sands quickly senses that something is very wrong. But what?
The winds were pretty high that day, coming over the mountains at about 60 miles an hour, so I saw him drifting away from the airport and got in my car to chase after him.
Suddenly, TJ comes to. His desperate situation slowly comes into focus, but his head injury is so severe that when he looks up to check his parachute, he blacks out again. As he drops another 2,000 feet, all seems hopeless. Having served in the 101st Airborne Division in Vietnam, TJ had experienced deadly situations before, but nothing would compare to this. As he helplessly hurls towards Earth, his fate seems sealed, but miraculously, he comes to again. TJ's survival instincts have now kicked in with a vengeance.
I was still in a field of stars, and I figured there were three factors to that. One, I was losing blood. Two, I had been knocked unconscious. And three, I had been spinning for probably 15 minutes or so. It was a long time.
Losing massive amounts of blood, TJ fights to keep his head. Now at 5,000 feet and dropping fast, time is his worst enemy.
I had to, right at that moment, one, figure out how to operate a broken parachute, stay conscious, which is probably the most difficult thing, and get on the ground before I ran out of blood.
With all the strength he can gather, he struggles to gain control of his broken parachute.
So I undid my toggles, my steering lines. Steering lines are really important in these types of parachutes simply because you have to turn right and left to know that the whole parachute's working right. So I undid my left toggle and turned it and got a good response, good turn. I undid my right toggle and turned it and nothing but lines dropped. And I knew there was something wrong with the right side of my parachute.
TJ tries one last attempt to wrestle control of the loose lines of his right toggle.
So I took my steering line and just out of instinct, I don't know why I did this, I wrapped it over my shoulder, back down to my hand to take up the slack, and then I tried to turn with it and it worked.
That instinctive move gives him sudden hope that he might be able to make a landing. As he turns back towards the airport, the race is on to get down before he bleeds to death. On the ground, anxiety momentarily eases as TJ suddenly seems to be in control, until he comes into view, lands hard, and collapses, covered in blood.
Call 911! Somebody call 911! Get an ambulance!
The reality of his situation is apparent. He has suffered a concussion, fractured leg, and has lost 1/2 of his body's blood. TJ is still within inches of losing his life.
Yeah, we've got a skydiver down here at the Vance Brand Airport. We need an ambulance.
It took 10 weeks for TJ to recover. Doctors and friends were amazed at his resolve to live during the frightening jump itself and during his initial days in the hospital. Time eventually heals TJ's wound, but the memory of his 477th jump lives on. His heroics and determination to survive are an inspiration. Today, these friends are even more mindful to always expect the unexpected as they continue to embrace the sport they love.
You can't get lackadaisical. Complacency can get you hurt or killed in this sport. You need to be focused on safety and what's going on around you, especially in the air.
Regardless of what caused the chute to suddenly deploy, once it happened, the Colorado skydiver did everything right to stay alive. Here are things you can do to stay safe while skydiving. Check all your gear and have a buddy check it right before you jump. Always have an FAA licensed rigger pack your reserve chute. In the event of an emergency, try to keep a clear head. Don't panic. Clear thinking was a vital part in saving TJ's life. When we return, snowmobiling is one of the fastest growing winter sports. Today, new sleek and powerful machines carry people to places once thought impossible to reach, but at a cost.
We kind of uncovered the ski a little bit, but the snow was so hard and so set up, it was just like, you know, we could dig for a half hour on the sled, still never find them.